Okay, so we are still in Chapter 3, Part 1, and this is going to be the last video I'm going to make. So I've already done a video for Problem 1 and Problem 4. Now I'd like to do just a few more. So we are going to do Problem 7, 8, and then also 13 in the back of Chapter 3 for Chapter 3, Part 1. Okay, so first let's look at problem number 7. These problems are relatively simple, but looking at these problems is also going to help you a little bit for the other problems that you're going to do. So here in this problem, they tell us that Art is a self-employed installer of home entertainment systems. So like, TVs with surround sound, stuff like that. He drives his car to the installation locations. And then they tell us that he drove his car for 15,000 miles for business purposes and then 20,000 miles in total. So the other 5,000 were all for personal use. And here they're giving us actual expenses, and they're telling us that Art has always used the actual cost method. So once a taxpayer has been continuing to use the same method, that's the method that they need to continue to use. So we're going to use the actual cost method. So there's the actual cost method, and then there's just the standard mileage deduction that we're going to look at in problem number 8. So what we need to do here is we need to look at his total expenses, which we know were $10,000. And we want to only deduct the percentage of those deductions that relate to business. So how do we do that? We're just going to calculate a simple percentage. So he drove 15,000 out of 20,000 miles in total. So enter into your calculator 15,000 divided by 20,000. That's going to give you 75% or 0.75. And then multiply that by his actual expenses, which are 10,000. So the answer to this one is 7,500. Okay, let's look at problem number 8. This is another mileage one. Okay, so here Martha is a tax accountant. She drives her car 4,000 miles for business, 10,000 for commuting and other personal use. So in this problem, because she's using the standard mileage deduction, we don't need to come up with a ratio or a percentage like we did in problem number 7. Using the standard mileage deduction, all we have to do is know the number of business miles, which they give us. It's 4,000 miles right there. And then we multiply it by the standard mileage rate that the IRS has posted for that particular year. So for 2018, it's 54.5 cents. And every year this number changes. So if you work for a business and you're having to write people checks because of the mileage that they drove for business, you'll just Google in IRS standard mileage deduction for 2019, for example, or 2010, whatever year you're doing it. But for this year, it's 54.5 cents. So to get this number that's going to go in right here, enter into your calculator 4,000 times 0.545, which is 54.5 cents. So the business expense is $21.80. Where in her tax return should Martha claim this deduction? And where should it go? What are we learning about here in Chapter 3? We're learning about the Schedule C. So that's where it goes. Okay, I want to look at one more. Let's look at problem number 13. So in this problem, we're given some expenses related to the entertainment of Marty's clients in 2018. So we have dues to a country club. And then they tell us 25 of the 75 days was for business. Business meals at a country club, not associated with golf or tennis, so actual business meals. Dues to the tennis club. The club was used 75% for directly related business, and tennis fees for personal use, business meals at the various restaurants. Okay, so I have the answers posted here. So let's look at this. So dues to a country club, those are not deductible. They're never going to be deductible in any of the problems. And I think this is the second time I've seen that come up, because remember we dealt with country club dues in problem number 1. So that's coming up a couple times in the homework. So important thing to remember. These expensive, crazy country club dues that people try to get away with deducting, the IRS has said, no, we're not going to let that be deductible. Business meals are going to be deductible as long as they're business meals. Dues to the tennis club, that's like the same as the country club. The IRS says, no, we're not going to let that be deductible. The tennis fees, that was for personal use anyway, so obviously that one's not deductible. Business meals at various restaurants, those are business meals, those are deductible. And then how much of Marty's deduction for entertainment, or how much is Marty's deduction for entertainment expenses for 2018? So we had business meals at the country club, that was $1,200. And then we had business meals at various restaurants. So enter that into your calculator, you get $3,044. And then remember, when we're talking about business meals, only 50% of them are deductible for tax purposes. That's the IRS's limitation. So the $3,044 times 50% gives us his deductible entertainment expenses. Okay, that's it for Chapter 3, Part 1.